Greetings, Game Master Player here, and we're doing our first car Game Master session, basically. Like a Game Master chit-chat. Let's do it that way. I'm working on a world, and I'm going to do some videos based on the development of that world. Now, I don't know if I need to have any other display for information beyond just me talking to a camera, but I'd like to share some information that I've come up with for my setting. So now I'm a terrible writer. I can't get stuff written down. I can tell a nice story. I keep it all in my head, unfortunately, and it keeps changing. It's very fluid. I don't have a static start, static finish. I don't have a defined set of characters. I let the players choose their characters. I work with what they choose, and I make the story based on things that they also want to accomplish, what they want to do, what they've played, things like that. So I'm going to explain on a few things in this series about how I process that information and turn it into a pretty darn good story. Now, I don't like to have I'll flat out say, I hate dungeon crawls. It's one of, if I wanted a dungeon crawl, I could just play a video game. I can mob grind and get loot and, yay, I killed more goblins, or I killed another lich, or whatever it might be. It's not that much fun, in my opinion. What I like to do is I like to have the people, the players, explore their characters and go above and beyond what they think that they can do. So, for example, there was a game that I ran that the player played an introvert, and she was she wasn't the best necessarily role player in the world. If you get her into a good character, she has good ideas, but she doesn't express them very well. She doesn't work with what she wants to do very well. So she'll laugh, she'll joke. She's good having the group, but trying to explore the individual and get her to play the part and work on that part. So we created with ideas for what she wanted to do with her character. We created a scenario to where she could expand and grow as a person, a character, and not be an introvert anymore and things like that. At the same time, because her character was an introvert, it was the start of a love story for her as well. Now, the interesting part was that at first, even as a player, she had no idea that's what it was being weaved into. But the fact that the character is completely oblivious makes it even better. So, and she played it that way fantastically. So really, what as a game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it, as a game master, what I like to do is I like to expand upon people's abilities to play a part, they have thoughts, they have ideas. I don't just I don't button up and just tell a story and railroad them through whatever I want to railroad them through, whether their characters are good for it or not. I really want to make every person a part of the story. And as a role-playing game, your traditional pen and paper or pencil and paper, whatever you want to call it, role-playing game, player characters are the main characters of the story. So we'll use Star Trek, for example. We'll go back to the original series. The main characters of that series were Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, basically, right? And then you have secondary characters, which in their own were fantastic characters. They would be the supporting characters. Uhura, Sulu, Chekhov, Scotty. Those characters were just as important to the story, but they didn't focus on them. So those would be like recurring players, or your in some cases, the players that want to show up and want to do stuff, but they're not. It may not be their game, or they don't want to invest as much because they just want to support other people. And there's times that people want to do that. There's people that make the hack and slash character just because somebody has to make the hack and slash, somebody has to be the meat shield, and they don't mind. They like doing it, or they just, in this role, they just don't want to think as much, and they'll play the hack and slash or the limited story character because that's their choice. But really, again, but you've got 3 main characters, and those characters would be player characters, obviously. And those player characters are very important to the story. And without their decisions, the story doesn't move forward. So, and sure, yeah, it's all scripted and everything, that's great. But think of it, a role-playing session is more of an improv. You've got a part, you play the part, you have no dialogue, no lines, you make it all up as you go. And I like to make sure all my players get a chance for dialogue, get a chance to interact, get a chance to become part of the story. Because if they don't, then are they having fun? Are they, do they feel like they're needed or wanted, or, or do they even feel like they're involved? So really the idea is to get everybody on the same page and get everybody playing a part, playing a role, a character that they really, really like. And then it's my job as the storyteller to fit this character in the overstory that I have come up with for the show or for the series, whatever it might be. And the best part is that when you explain it, it's really like watching a TV show. Every role-playing session should be like a TV show. You should have certain aspects covered. For example, if I was going to run a Star Wars game, Star Wars has a lot of chases. Star Wars has a lot of grandiose things. Star Wars has aliens and droids and things like that must be somewhere in the story. And you have to make it, you have to fill that setting. Now, because of this, I really suck at horror. I cannot tell a horror tale to save my life. I've only been able to pull it off, I think, twice, ever. So, it's not my cup of tea. It's not what I'm good at. Down the road, I might get better at it. Sure, I'll give it a shot. Why not? But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on what I'm good at, which is sci-fi and fantasy. And so the idea is, like I said, is to get you get your story. You have a story you want to tell. Like for my case, I want a story. There's a story I want to tell. Or really how it starts is there's these really cool things / ideas I want to share with others that would be really cool in a role-playing game. And you take those and you create a story out of it. So currently the story that I'm going to be working on is a Dungeons and Dragons game, 5th edition, the current edition that's out. A couple reasons. One, the basic rules are free, so anybody can be doing this. You can follow along with me. You can. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to get to the basic rules, so everybody else can make characters if they want to, and share your characters with me. That'd be fantastic. But it's just an easy system. Nobody has to fight hard to know how to play it. Nobody has to fight hard for character generation. No, there is no, it doesn't take 3 hours to make a character like some systems do. So, again, the idea is just this is going to be, originally it's going to be used as a pickup game. I've had some requests to make it better than a pickup game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the beginning for all of you watching on how I started this whole process to where I'm going to be going with the game. And so I'm going to start with the little bits and pieces first that I'm going to include in the story. And then after that, later we'll work on details and specifics. So the first piece is that I wanted to run a game for a convention. That was the big thing. I always like to run games at conventions, and if I can get other people to join in, awesome. So I started a game at a convention, Dungeons and Dragons, and I wanted to do this overstory where, again, this is the only part where I railroad is certain plot elements. So the plot is that this area has been cut off due to geographic location. There's a big mountain range, and the area is north of that mountain range, which is towards the cooler region. So it's not a tropical area in any way, shape, or form. There's no real nice temperatures. It's temperate, don't get me wrong, but in the winter it will get very cold. So with the geographic location, there's a big mountain range, and then on the sides there's a large coral reef on one that has a lot of creatures, animals, monsters, whatever living in it, and it breeds another society. It breeds dangerous passage, things like that. And then the other side is going to be rocky dangerous, rocky waters. So it's going to be very dangerous for ships. So basically, it's going to be without this mountain pass, because there's a mountain pass. Without the mountain pass, you really can't get to this area without going out of your way. And that's the big one, it's just going out of your way. So, and then I was going to have this mountain pass guarded, taken over, I'm not sure the right term, by a dragon. And the dragon is going to be the main villain or antagonist, or I'm not sure exactly the term I want to use, but it's going to be the main goal in the game is for the players to take care of this dragon, so they can reconnect with the kingdom. Now, it's been going on for generations. I haven't created an exact timeline yet, but it's been going on for generations. And the players, and because they're limited in their area, they have been recruited to be adventurers. Now, the reason that adventurers is kind of a big thing is because stories passed down from family to family speaks of adventurers that have achieved great tasks, killed fiendish beasts, and created kingdoms from the ground up, things like that. It's epic tales, lots of epic tales, which is true. Most of the role-playing games are filled with adventurers doing epic things. So, and the tales have gotten to the point where, well, that's a good idea. Maybe we should foster adventurers to do this for us, which is basically let's have them, slay the dragon. So this area has created what's called the Adventurers Guild, and it's basically similar to, if anyone's familiar with Pathfinder and the setting that Pathfinder's in, is Pathfinder Society, where people are members of certain factions and stuff, but they travel and they do all these quests and goals and achievements and such for the world and for their group and things like that. So it's kind of a smaller version of that, but the idea is that the Adventurers Guild is basically a organization that fosters the growth of these people to become the heroes needed to save the land, because they need that, obviously, to take care of the dragon. So that's the only railroad I put in, is that every player must be working to be in the Adventurers Guild, because they're not going to start in it, they're going to be working to get into it. That's allows for a lot of quick and easy small growth options at the very beginning, so I can do kind of lame things if I wanted to, or basic things, and it gives the players a cushion that they're not going to die right away, because there's an organization that's going to protect them in some ways and things like that too. So all in all, it's in my opinion, it's a good start. So I use it as a springboard to further adventure. So, but otherwise, now I have to work on what the players make up, on how much more I want to actually flesh out the setting. So we'll cover that in the next video, how I started to flesh out the setting with the players and such. But in the meantime, I've got my basics. I've got my land, which is an area that is cut off from the rest of the kingdom geographically, and technically politically too, if I wanted to get into that angle, but geographically and because there's a big monster trying to kill everybody. So, and again, next time we'll cover characters and how my stories are going to grow based on what they decide, because again, without the players, I have no story to tell. I could talk to myself and tell my own story and make it all up, and that's fine, but really, without players, there is no role-playing game. So, and then I'll start delving into NPCs after the fact. So, thank you, and I will catch you guys in the next video.